Neiman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you. The Morning Majority, 630.
WMAL.
7:07 on the Morning Majority. Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, and we have an extra guest with us in the studio. Jeff Frederick, who is running in the 36th district, correct, for state senate. We had Tito Munoz last week. You'll remember his opponent in that race. There's a big primary August 23rd. How's it going, Jeff? Good morning.
It's going well. Good morning.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and about the campaign while you're running.
Well, I have 3 kids, all under 5 at the moment. I'm married.
I know you're paying.
Wow. I've been running a small business for the last 13 years. We've never been over 10, but had a good opportunity to see all the struggles and all the triumphs, I guess, of small business. I served 3 terms in the State House and the House of Delegates. I took a 2-year break. I decided not to run for re-election in 2009. I'm not one of these guys that thinks I need to be in office for 20 years. And this opportunity came up after redistricting, so we decided to give it a shot and see what we can do, see if we can change politics as usual in Virginia.
What was the reason? What was the thing that motivated you to jump back in? Was there a single event, something that you saw?
Well, it was actually a mix of events. First of all, I grew up in Virginia. I want my kids to grow up in as good or a better Virginia that I had the opportunity to grow up in. And a lot of the progress that happens in the Commonwealth, particularly out of Richmond, gets bottled up in the State Senate. It comes out of the House of Delegates, where I served, and hits a roadblock in the State Senate. So when they did the redistricting, they actually included most of my old House district. Nevertheless, it's still a very challenging Senate district, but because they included a lot of my House district, because we thought that we could have an impact on Virginia, particularly, again, if we can change the composure of the State Senate, decided to go ahead and make a run for this.
And in fact, you are in a district that went 59% in favor of Obama. Is that right?
Actually,
that right?
Actually, it's the House district I represented went 64%
Wow.
for Obama, and I won it with 59%.
That's impressive.
We're talking with Jeff Frederick, by the way. If you want to ask him a question, you can. 1-888-630-9625. He's running for Virginia Senate. 1-888-630-WMAL. You can text feedback to 68683. What's the most important thing that constituents are talking about? What's the big issue, the hot button issue with the people in the 36th district?
Well, this is a diverse district. It's diverse in its geography as well as diverse in its population. It runs from almost the Alexandria line down the Route 1 corridor all the way into Stafford County. The overall overarching issue obviously is jobs in the economy. People want to get back to work. I've met a lot of people. I can't tell you how many people's doors I've been to where they've said that their adult son or daughter are living with them, or adult children's family are living with them because of the economy.
Mm-hmm.
People want to get back to work, and I think one of the things that we need to do is to revitalize the Route 1 corridor. We need to provide some special tax incentives for businesses to come in, revitalize, redevelop, and maybe it'd be a great idea if we could get businesses to locate there, so people are, instead of commuting up and down Route 1, they're commuting to Route 1, getting out of their cars, going to work. Other businesses like retail establishments, higher-end retail establishments wanting to come and locate there. But also you have different issues on different communities. Obviously if you are located somewhere on the Route 1 corridor, that's a concern. If you're located somewhere around Fort Belvoir or Quantico, the BRAC adjustments are certainly going to have an impact, and people are concerned about that. Transportation is a huge issue. And in this economy, taxes. The State Senate and the current incumbent, Toddy Puller, believes that everything that ails the Commonwealth of Virginia can be addressed by raising your taxes. I disagree. I think we need to cut taxes. I think, again, we need to attract businesses through tax cuts or elimination of business taxes, like the B-Poll tax, for example. We locate more businesses in Virginia, particularly along the Route 1 corridor. They'll hire more people. More people are coming in. More people are paying taxes. And that's the way government should be raising its revenues. Not that I want government to grow or to raise its revenues, but if it does have more money, then certainly there's more money there to do transportation. And if it's getting more money without raising taxes, then perhaps we can address the priorities of the people that send the money to Richmond instead of the priorities of the special interests in Richmond.
Prince William County's been a pretty hot spot for discussion on illegal immigration, on how to handle it. And Corey Stewart, the chairman of the Prince William County Board, has been pretty aggressive in that nature. The 529 program, it's been involved in there in allowing police to act, essentially to have federal powers, working with federal ICE in curbing illegal immigration. Are you in agreement with that policy that Corey Stewart has put in place, and how do you feel about the way that Prince William County has handled illegal immigration?
I think Prince William's done a great job, and Corey's leadership as well as John Stirrup's leadership there. Corey's actually endorsed my campaign for the state senate, along with Tom Davis and Mark Cole and Scott Ligenfelter and a number of others. But anyway, I think Corey's done a great job. Before Corey was doing that, and Corey and John Stirrup were doing that in Prince William County, we actually had some of these efforts that we were engaging in the legislature, and I was one of about 3 or 4 guys in the House of Delegates that were pushing these issues forward, like giving the state police the authority to enforce federal immigration law, like cracking down on businesses that hire illegal aliens, like trying to make sure that nobody having a state contract is hiring illegals, or that they're checking what was then called the Homeland Security Pilot Program. But all of those things, several years ago, in 2004, I believe, the legislature, we passed a bill that said that local governments can't provide public benefits to illegal aliens. The problem with that legislation is that there was no teeth behind it. So if localities like Arlington, for example, which still is a sort of a sanctuary county, if Arlington decided to just ignore that state law, there were no teeth behind it. And so another thing that I did when I was in the legislature was try to push to put some teeth behind that sort of thing. We've done all kinds of things, but again, some of that stuff has become law, but a lot of it leaves the House of Delegates and then hits a roadblock in the state senate, and that's again why we need to change the state senate. That's why we need to.
Would you be in favor of taking that policy that Prince William County has put in place and doing it throughout the Commonwealth, or at least giving state police? I know obviously every jurisdiction has its ability to control the police or do what it wants with its police force, but for Virginia state troopers, in order to have those same powers that Prince William County police do.
Absolutely. Well, I sponsor legislation to do just that. Yes.
I wonder what you think about, you are part Colombian, your opponent Tito is Colombian, and obviously there's a big Hispanic population to be won and to be wooed. I know Tito has talked about doing a debate in Spanish. When we asked him one of the differences between you guys, he had an accusation about you taking affirmative action contracts from the government. So obviously this has been a big part of the campaign. Tell me how that's playing both positively and negatively, how you're wooing people and dealing with those discussions.
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, this is a diverse district, and I think it's kind of silly that we're trying to discriminate for or against different groups in our community. I'm going out and talking to all voters. I want anyone that I can get to vote for me to vote for me. But the General Assembly debates in English. I don't know why we'd want to exclude the significant part of our community that doesn't speak English or doesn't speak Spanish or doesn't understand Spanish if we're going to have a debate, and if we're going to have a debate, we need to have it in English so as many people can participate as possible. And the fact is that my opponent is kind of interesting. I don't always understand where he's coming from, but my business has been involved in similar programs that his business has been involved in. The accusations that he's made against me are the very accusations that he could make against himself. The fact is that we're a small business. We've taken very little government work in general overall, and a lot of those accusations are just false in the sense that the contracts that we've had are the same kinds of contracts that Kaki and Northern Grumman and those kinds of people have had as well.
Jeff Frederick is our guest this morning. He's running for state senate in District 36. If you've got a question, you can chime in. 1-888-639-625. The Morning Majority. It's Brian Neiman, Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson, Jeff Frederick, who's running for state senate in Virginia in the House. We had Tito Munoz in last week, Tito the Builder. Big primary coming up in a couple of weeks. We're taking your phone calls as well, 1-888-639-625, and you can text feedback to 68683. Kathy in Fairfax has a question. Morning, Kathy.
Hi, guys. First of all, before I ask my question, I just want to say that the most important decision that was made last week was that we have football in the fall.
It is a godsend.
And now, here's the question that I have. I'd like to know exactly what you're going to do about MS-13, because when we talk to our local police enforcement groups, they tell us that there's nothing that they can do, really, to, lock up illegal immigrants or crack down on MS-13, because they don't have direction from the feds. So it's a real problem when you see not only MS-13 increasing within our neighborhoods and moving out of the cities and into our burbs, as well as other, groups like Locos, Mochos, or whatever it's called, and several other groups.
All right, thank you, Kathy.
I'd like to know what you're going to do about that in order to help us feel safe, because we pay a lot of money here in Fairfax County.
Just for people who may not know, MS-13 is an organized drug gang of some ill repute.
Sure. Well, I appreciate the question. You mentioned direction from the feds, and I just want to clarify, I'm running for Richmond, not Washington. So in terms of being able to provide, if I were to win this seat to the state Senate, I'm not the feds that can provide the direction. But nevertheless, I can tell you that the legislature has been very aggressive in as much as it can be in dealing with gangs like MS-13. When I was in the House of Delegates, we passed a number of different changes to the Code of Virginia, different laws to strengthen local law enforcement authority. I can also tell you that we've partnered with the Eastern District Attorney's Office of Virginia, Eastern District Office of U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia.
Gotcha.
The state has made a number of partnerships along with the Attorney General of Virginia, his office, in trying to combat that.
When you look at Virginia as a whole, which was a red state for quite some time, then the president won, and Democrats were saying, hey, it's now a purple state. Where do you see the state going in the future? Do you think it is a red state, or do you think it'll be a battleground state for quite some time?
I'm kind of tired of the colors, actually. I'm not quite sure that they fit all neatly into the box that people like to put them in. I think Virginia overall is a conservative-leaning state. But I also think at the same time it's very independently minded. And I think that voters of Virginia are going to look at the candidates. They're not necessarily going to look at the office. We've seen time and time again, just even over the last decade, where the pendulum has swung from one direction to the other.
So you're a Republican, and you're running against Tito Munoz, Tito the Builder. Tell me, first of all, where is your district? What areas does that encompass for people who are listening in?
Well, it's not clean. There's no clean answer to that. The state Senate did a great job at gerrymandering this district. For Toddy Puller, the current Democratic incumbent. The only way I think we can describe it is that it's a military district. It brings in Fort Belvoir, Quantico, but it basically runs down the Route 1 corridor just south of the Alexandria line in Fairfax, all the way down into North Stafford County.
All right.
It goes to the Potomac River on the eastern side for the most part, all the way down the Route 1, and then it varies on the western side of Route 1 how far that goes out.
Let's get one more call on. Gloria in Woodbridge, you're with the Morning Majority. Hey, Gloria.
I'm glad the debate is in English, not Spanish. Majority of the people are English. Years ago, when immigrants came in, they had to learn English. I couldn't believe that Munoz said, he would debate.
He wanted it to be in Spanish, right?
What do you know the percentage of people in your district who speak Spanish?
There's no statistic for who speaks Spanish, but the Latino population is about 20%, 22%.
So you were saying no to that. I mean, has Munoz's office even contacted your office to have the debate in Spanish? Or
well, actually, they contacted the press first.
I saw it,
and then they contacted us.
So they did contact you.
They contacted the press, saying that they contacted us, but they did actually contact us. And again, we responded saying we'd love to debate, but I think that we need to be inclusive of everybody in our community. And we need to do so in the language that has been declared the official language of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that's in English. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to other communities. My mother's from Colombia. I have a very large family down there. There's nothing wrong with wanting to reach out to immigrants, particularly those immigrants that have come here legally, those who have made a future for themselves and their family, follow the rules, and even become citizens.
Thank you very much for coming in today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Jeff Frederick, our guest here with the Morning Majority, running. The primary, again, is the 23rd.
August 23rd.
Big primary in District 36.